What's going on, people? It's Mr. Dore back again with the review show for Forest v Arsenal. I hope everyone's fit and well. And yes, we've got a really, really easy game tomorrow. I'm not worried about at all. Everyone's Arsenal fans are again scared and all that. So before we get a legend in, and but another legend in, I don't know what Dave's doing. People, but ignore Dave. If you're new to the channel, hit the like button, subscribe if you know, and get your votes in on what the score will be tomorrow. I've done a poll. So get your votes in now. First of all, we've got the man himself, the legend, Dave Asprey. How you feeling, Dave?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. I'm certainly better now. I've had a shave between this show and Potsy's show, and almost manscaped. You might say.
Manscape. I think I need some manscape as well, but it's too cold out there, so I'm leaving. I'm leaving like this.
Just one thing to say, actually, mate. On a serious note, and Dan will go with me on this as well. I was just watching the titles rolling then. And this game tomorrow, let's remember Kev tomorrow, because it's it's a game between Arsenal and Forest, and it's a shame that Kev's not here. So I just felt I needed to say that.
Yes, 100%, 100%.
Thinking of the big man, mate. You know what I mean?
Legend Kevin Campbell, as you know.
Yeah.
Played for Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, but he's always going to be missed on this channel. And we've got to introduce this guy. And before we do, I'm going to absolutely roast him, because at the start of the season, Dan. And I remember I was on TikTok and Dan said if Forest would get relegated. And I messaged Dan. I said, what are you playing at? And now, look where we are, Dan. We've got the legend himself. He's making a debut on my channel. Talk for Man legend, Dan Potts. How you feeling now, my friend?
Mate, egg on my face, bro. Egg on my face. I'm kind of happy though, because I didn't want Forest to go down. I did say that. And look, I mean, things can change in football, and I hope it don't happen, right? But now, things are looking good, man. Very good, man. Forest are looking good. Look, I want Forest to stay up, right? And I did say that to Dave. I said, I feel like it might be this year, Dave, but I hope I'm wrong. And luckily, I won't say that I am wrong yet, because in football's football, right? But it looks like I will be wrong. I mean, let's be real, I am wrong. You're not going down. You look way too good, man. And it's great to see. I can't lie. I've always been a fan of Forest. I think I've always had a bit of a soft spot.
Always.
Big up to you for Kev as well, because I totally agree with Kev Campbell. Yeah. And I think I've always had a little bit of a following since I've known Kev, with Forest and Everton, just because kind of Kev. And if I had to choose teams to go down, it wouldn't be you two, just because of that, if I'm honest. But I'm worried, boys, man. I'm worried about tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be a very easy one for us, but we'll get into it, man. But big up for having me on, bro.
Yeah, make sure everyone subscribes to Talk Man. Dan is on the road to 30K. So if you can, this link in the title. Click on Talk Man. Yes, Dave's the boss is the main man as a Forest person on there, and the backup. Des is the third man choice, but Dave is the main man that talks about Forest. So make sure everyone goes subscribe to Talk Man. He has loads of other football fans on there as well. Talks about different subjects. Like, he is an Arsenal fan, but he has different football fan content as well. He had a show before this that Dave was on, promoting Manscaped as well. So Dan owes Dave some money as well. So, but let's talk about people. Like I said, let me talk you, Dave, because you know what, I'm going for you as well, Dave, because I don't know if Dan knows, and the viewers, Dave always says, Ben, just calm down. But after seeing you on Talk Man, a little bit confidence now. I'm thinking like this. I'm thinking to myself, is Dave been drinking too much cup of tea and all that? Dave, come on, man. It's been like
protein drink, Ben.
I don't know what he's done, protein drink, but Dave, we've had the international break, but what has changed now from? Let's forget the Newcastle game. Let's talk about the away form. But from now for the away form, what's changed now? Has it changed a little bit from you?
What has sort of had an impact on me, Ben, I think, and I said this to Dan, and Dan kind of represents the view that I picked up from the Arsenal community. I've watched a show tonight with Robbie and Lee Judges and Julian,
AFTV,
Invincible podcast, and the lads were kind of coming across as being. There were two things that struck me. One was how respectful they were of Forest, and making it clear that they thought Forest were far better at this particular point in time than they were over the past 2 seasons. That was one thing that came across to me, so that was quite nice. That's Forest winning respect, from, if you like, knowledgeable, hard-bitten football fans, which is good for us. The other thing, and this was like what really struck me, was the level of almost anxiety, a level of discomfort, pressure, and a bit of stress. They haven't won for 4 games. They've had to. I just said this about an hour ago with Dan. He'll sort of back me up as to what I said. That Arsenal are suffering. Both teams are going through identity changes, if you like.
Yeah.
We were for 2 seasons, quite rightly, we were seen as a perennial struggler, and Dan's view about us at the start of the season was perfectly valid based on what we'd done in our previous bodies of work. I did at the time thank him, because that was a brilliant thing to do, right? So Forest have had to they're having to deal with this, like, well, we're not maybe quite the strugglers that we were, and we've improved, and now we have to keep improving to get into that sort of echelon where we've got a little bit of comfort and not worrying about relegation. Arsenal's issue is at the start of the season. So if we were seen as relegation candidates at the start of the season, and we're not that now, at the start of the season, Arsenal was seen as the main challenger to Manchester City. And the way results have gone, kind of almost since that draw that they had at City with the 10 men, which everybody kind of thought, oh, that's a really good result with 10 men at City to get a 2-2 draw. And the goals they scored, that they were leading 2-1 or whatever, that was seen as, oh, Arsenal have improved again and developed from the the not bad side that went close, and then the better side that went close, right? But it seems to have just dropped off a bit. I think injuries are a key to that slight drop off from Arsenal. But Arsenal are now thinking, and the lads were saying it on the show tonight, and I listened to them. They're saying tomorrow is an absolute must-win for Arsenal and Arteta as an individual. They if you think, they've not been at the Emirates now, I don't think, since the end of October. They've not won for 4 games. They've had 2 draws and 2 losses. Then they have a fortnight to kind of stew on that. Arsenal are coming here. I think Arsenal are coming in tomorrow, and a bit, okay, Forest are coming in having been slightly schooled by Newcastle, but I think we as a community at Forest have sort of seen that as a really handy reality check. Everybody kind of went, yeah, well, Newcastle were the better side. I think everybody, the vast majority, accepted that in a mature fashion, and we've gone on. And I think there's more talk in and amongst and around Arsenal going into this match than there is Forest. We're into bonus territory. We're way ahead of where we thought. A lot of us thought. Some thought we were going to go down. Some thought we were going to struggle. We're 5th. We may not stay there, but we're enjoying it. Arsenal, I think, are 4th. Arsenal need
same points as us.
Yeah. Arsenal need, and I know Dan, because I know Dan really well. He wants this desperately. He wants Arsenal to be that live, genuine title contender. And if they're not careful, Arsenal are going to get too far away from that. And tomorrow, the good thing for us is the onus tomorrow, and the pressure is all in the other camp.
Yeah.
If we get beat tomorrow, then we're still going to be way ahead of where our curve was expected to be. If Arsenal lose tomorrow, the back pages.
Or even a draw, Dave. Even a draw.
A draw, yeah, absolutely, Ben. Judges, I was listening to Judges tonight. I love listening to Lee. He's a spot-on guy. He said a draw isn't enough. Robbie said it isn't enough. Robbie's saying we can't use the injury crisis as an excuse anymore. And the issue for Arsenal is they've got these injuries. Okay, Odegaard's back, but he's been out for a while. He can't just come back and beat the instant man straight away. The lad he's a superb player, as we know, but he needs to work in. Does Declan play? Does Bukayo Saka play? And if these guys don't play for Arsenal, Raheem Sterling has to start.
That's why I'm going to mention that to Dan as well.
Raheem Sterling needs to start being the Raheem Sterling of old.
Yeah.
Gabriel Jesus needs to step up. Zinchenko, if he has to come in. Ben White's missing. I think that's a big blow for them because it rearranges their defensive shape to a certain extent. And maybe Partey has to go to right back. The thing for Arsenal is their team selection tomorrow is crucial. Their team selection will dictate how they approach the game on the field, and it'll dictate the levels of confidence and the mood going into the game. A lot of them saying, if I turn up and I see that team for Arsenal, I'm going to be worried that, the one thing that, and it's a testament to not to Forest, Ben, Arsenal are really wary of us tomorrow. Now, I think last year, certainly the first year when they beat us 5-0, they weren't wary. These are a struggler. We'll deal with these, and they dealt with us, right? A bit like they did at our place back in March, But this game tomorrow is indicative of the gap having closed between the two teams, more maybe than we expected. Because I thought Arsenal would be right up there. And
I did as well. I did as well, Dave. The question is, I'm gonna ask Dan, because Dave was spot on about. I've been watching all the Arsenal podcasts and all that, and it's good to see the respect that Arsenal have been saying about Forest, because we are playing great. And what's your view on it, on the game? Because I've seen you a little bit. Okay, this is not as easy as it has been in the past 2 seasons we've gone to Emirates, but it's different now, and it's like. I'm not saying we're there, because right now I'm form with there, but you're still there and there. But you're talking about you're talking about. Oh, okay, we're playing against a team that's not lost away. But how are you feeling about it, Dan?
Yeah, I'm nervous, and I'll tell you why I'm nervous. It's not just the way we're playing; it's the way Forest are playing. I know you come off the back of a defeat as well, in terms of you lost to Newcastle, and we have come off the back of a draw. But let's be real, we haven't actually won, as Dave said, since Southampton back in. Whenever it was before.
And that wasn't easy, Dan. That wasn't easy, was it?
It wasn't. It weren't convincing. We had to bring on our players to win that game. So we haven't been great all season. I don't think we played well all season. A lot of people will say no, because we've gone to the Etihad and we've done well, and we've done well like Spurs away and Villa away, and we've had the hardest fixtures out of anyone in the league and all this stuff. But really, when you look at the performances, it ain't been pretty, if I'm honest. So that doesn't fill me with confidence. I also do think that the dangerous tools you have could come up against some of our weaknesses, and that's my biggest issue, really. And it does depend who we start, by the way, because if we're playing Partey at right back, that for me brings in a complete other dangerous player in Elanga or Hudson-Odoi. Then you've obviously look at what Wood can do up top. I don't think that your centre halves will be too worried or scared of Kai Havertz at the moment, because he's just kind of dropping a bit deep and hasn't really been that focal point. I think you'll definitely look at Ødegaard coming back and try and focus on him, and you've got to keep Saka quiet. But if you can do that, Forest have got a chance, and that's why I think that you've got an opportunity to take something from the game. I look at all around Forest now. It weren't too long ago I was looking at Forest thinking that Taiwo Awoniyi likes a goal against Arsenal, but the rest of them, they're not that great. Now I'm looking at it thinking, Awoniyi doesn't even get in the team, so he could be a super sub and score. You've got Wood who's scoring, Elanga and Hudson-Odoi are banging in crosses and shooting from distance. You've got obviously the likes of in midfield now, Ward-Prowse, Yates, I think, has been quite underappreciated, if I'm honest, over the last few seasons.
As always, Dan, I think after the game, I think he will rattle you like every single fan base he does. So he will rattle you.
But you need someone like that in the team, man. You need a horrible player like that. Everyone wants one, everyone's got one, and everyone's had one over the years. I think your centre half pairing, if I'm honest, other than Konate and Van Dijk, has probably been the best in the league. Even better than what Saliba and Gabriel have been, if I'm honest. They've been phenomenal for us for a couple of seasons. But I think Murillo and Milenkovic, who looks like one of the signings of the summer for me, looks absolutely outstanding. I think Kayana's been really good as well. I wasn't too sure about what to make of him until this season. And I think Moreno, I think you got him from Villa, if I'm correct. He's been really good as well. So, and Sells as well has been a goalkeeper. I was doing a team of the season and I put him in because I think he's been really good. I think the saves he made at Chelsea in particular are outstanding. So, I think you've got a really good side. And I said this to Dave earlier. I think Nuno's Wolves is very, very similar to who you are now. I mentioned Diana. He looks like the Matt Doherty, Raul Jimenez. You got a Chris Wood now in midfield. I've mentioned those players. They had players back in the day like Ruben Neves. You were talking about, and Moutinho. Those kind of guys. And I think you've got work hard players in there now. Morgan Gibbs-White, I haven't even mentioned. He's absolutely on fire. Got himself in the England squad. So that's why I'm worried. I think some people. I don't want to do what Liverpool did. Liverpool, I like Liverpool, don't get me wrong. Like, I've not got massive hatred for Liverpool. I don't particularly think they're amazing, but I do think they were quite arrogant when they had you. You know, it's like, oh, this will be a 4-5-0 at Anfield. Let's concentrate on the next game. I don't think Arsenal were doing that at the Emirates this time round, and that's probably good news for us because you're well respected. I know it was early days with Liverpool, and maybe Forest were not respected as much as they should be because it was early days, but I think they got Nuno'd, if I'm honest with you, and I just hope we don't get Nuno'd at the Emirates tomorrow because it's going to be hard, man. The wet and the wind, I know it's not an excuse. I don't want to sound like Ty saying it's raining, but at the same time, it ain't going to be pretty for us.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, ain't going to be pretty us watching. So I just hope that we can bounce back because even if we don't win the game, I want to see a performance from Arsenal because that's something I ain't seen for a while. Even when we were winning, like even when we went to Villa, it weren't like, wow, it's blistering. It's like scintillating. Going to City, we were hanging on, you know, and then we end up conceding. Going even against Brighton and against Wolves, I didn't look at it once and go, cool, yeah, we're back here. We're serious. And I've got to see this now after the break. We've got no excuses. We've got players back now. There's no more suspensions and injuries. I'm sick and tired of hearing excuses about referees. Let's just go and win the game, man. You know, that's what we got to try and do. But I think we're going to find it hard. I really do.
The question, again, Dan, and people, and David, I'll ask David after you. Everyone's questioning, what's his name? The manager. Arteta. There's been so much pressure on him. And from outside looking in, I know he spent, 600, 700 million since he's been to your club. You want a top four, but your main objective is just to win the Premier League. What's your stance on him so far?
Yeah, listen, I've had 5 years of Mikel Arteta so far, and it's been emotional, mate. It's been really, really emotional in terms of where I was at, where I am now, and where I still am. I think when I started with the appointment, I didn't want him. And I know that sounds really spoilt brat, but I didn't want him because I felt that we needed a winner that's got a CV that says I win. Mikel Arteta was learning. I don't think we should ever have a manager at our club of Arsenal learning on the job. That's not something that I want. I don't think we should be experimenting to see if this guy can do something. Now, if you ask me the question, do you think Mikel Arteta has done a good job to get Arsenal challenging? My answer is yes, because that is a good job to get us challenging. But I didn't want to be challenging, Dore. I wanted to be winning. And we were already challenging under Arsene Wenger and we sacked him. So if we just wanted to be challenging again, we might as well just kept hold of Wenger. So for me, I wanted to get across the line. And that's something that Mikel Arteta has not been able to do. Now, we can't be hypocritical as a fan base and start marching down Hornsey Road to get Arsene Wenger out for coming second against Leicester and then be happy when we're coming third against, Pep Guardiola. So for me, you have to remain consistent. And I think you have to say, if Mikel Arteta doesn't deliver this season, there will be absolutely no defence of, shall we try someone else? Because when you've given someone 5 years and £700 million, you can't say you haven't given him time and a chance. And I think that's now time for Arteta to stop worrying about phases and processes and buying bloody dogs and picking light bulbs up and sticking speakers up in training grounds and you play Liverpool and all this crap that he's done, which has not done any good, by the way, pickpocketing us at dinner time. Let's just stop all that crap and go and actually win a trophy now. Because it's getting silly. I'm all for analogies and I'm all for different ways and skill sets, but I'm not really too interested about, some of the stuff that he's done with light bulbs and squeezing lemons into glasses and going pickpocketing people. I just want to actually go and bloody win the title. And I don't know that any of that stuff has helped whatsoever in trying to win games for us. So for me, it's about delivering and he's got to get a trophy this season. And I don't care if it's a League Cup, FA Cup, or if it's not one of the big boys, because for me it's about winning trophies, and I grew up winning trophies, mate. And I was very spoiled, Dore. I was spoiled.
You had the players, Henry, Bergkamp, Overmars, Walter, Petit,
incredible. And I think people forget that sometimes. I've got a lot of people in my fan base that are in their 20s that are like, I'm happy with second. I'm used to coming fourth and 8th and 5th. That is not the way you support the club, not a club of Arsenal. If we're like a West Ham, I can understand why coming second is unbelievable. That is a phenomenal achievement. But we're not West Ham, right? We're not West Ham. We're Arsenal. We've moved to a stadium to compete with the best. We haven't competed with the best. We spent an unbelievable amount of money. If you look at what we've spent, you'll be absolutely astounded at how much we spent in the last decade. It's more than Real Madrid, and look at what they've won. So it's time to deliver now. That's where I'm at with Arteta. And if he doesn't, I think he'll stay because I think the Cronkies really like him.
Do you want him out though, Dan? Do you want him out though? That's the thing.
If we don't win anything, 100% I do. 100% I do.
This season?
This season. If he does not win something this season, we've got to get someone else.
Wow.
We have to. We have to.
No,
Otherwise, we just keep getting close again. Do you know what I mean? And keep going and all this stuff.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. But let me ask you, Dave. Like I said, with outside looking in, I still Arteta think he spent so much money. But what's your thoughts on it, Dave, on the Arteta thing?
Well, my view, and I said this to Dan earlier, is that, Nottingham Forest at home, Sporting Lisbon away, if he loses both of them, boy, he's got an inferno under his arse on that. That hot seat gets to be like Joan of Arc burnt at the stake type stuff, because, this fan base, I mean, the Tottenham fan base is bonkers. The Arsenal fan base is a bit, to my way of thinking, a bit more mature in their approach, but they're worried. They're not sure. They don't, previous times playing Nottingham Forest at home at the Emirates, Arsenal we should be winning that. Yeah, we'll win that. They're not like that at the moment. And the ones I've listened to, who I have great respect for, and I'm always interested in what they say, not just about Arsenal, but about football generally, are giving me the impression that there's not a lot of, the short straw is getting shorter, and it might be the straw that breaks the camel's back. If we go there tomorrow and replicate what we did at the league leaders, then the back pages will have Arsenal and the two words of Arsenal and Arteta all over
the place,
all over those back pages. If we and the worry is, and this is what Forest have done, bless him, in this. Yeah, it's 11 games, right? It's not a massive sample size, but in that 11 games, Nottingham Forest have given notice that they're a far better team than they were the last two seasons, right?
Yeah.
Can't argue with that. And what Nottingham Forest have done is they've kind of added credence to the displays of Leicester City and Southampton at the Emirates, where Leicester and Southampton both stressed Arsenal out. And we're a better side than Leicester and Southampton because we've beaten them comfortably, both of them. And what lies in everybody's compass when they're thinking about this game tomorrow was that effort at Anfield, where the team who are currently 100% in the Champions League and appear to have all of the momentum in the league were not outclassed, but outthought, outfought, and outwitted on the day. Now, that kind of brings pressure on Forest to say, well, you did that at Anfield, now go and do it at the Emirates, now go and do it at Tottenham, now go and do it at wherever else you go. So Forest have a certain amount of pressure because they set that bar that high. But what has been interesting, and I repeat myself as I often do, is the level of sort of nervous respect, and it's not grudging respect, which is again to Forest's credit, is this nervous respect, like, this is a difficult game tomorrow, and when you've got a big, a big six team saying that, it's indicative of the progress that you're making in terms of Forest. But I think, if we go there if by some,
Dave, have some confidence. Stop doing
you know
that.
What?
Stop it.
I'm always going to have my view. It's always going to be feet on the ground. There are other channels that will tell you this, that, and the other. I'm not bothering about that. I'm always respect for the opposition. But I think if Forest go there tomorrow, and Rich from Suffolk Crunch, Ipswich fan, was on our show earlier, and he really used an excellent phrase where he said, if Forest can play the home crowd in the Emirates, say nick an early goal, then the psychological exercise that then ensues will be really fascinating to watch. Because if Nottingham Forest get one early, and Forest have now got a better defence than they've had for a long time. So if Forest get one early and then find, yep, we're all right, we're dealing with this, there's no central focus in the box to occupy Milenkovic and Murillo if they force Havertz out of the box. You know what I mean?
That's a question, and it falls straight to Dan as well. Like, we talk about, I think I watched a show with you and Lee Judges about Kai Havertz. Is it Lee Judges doesn't like Kai Havertz and that?
No, it's me. The Judges likes Havertz.
You don't like Kai Havertz. Why do you like Kai Havertz? Because as it is, but I think they might say this as well. Because we both Murillo and Mukovic are playing fantastic. You can do long balls to him and at centre backs, especially Milikovic. You're not going to get past us. But where's your strength? Like we talk about Saka, fantastic player. But where's your other strengths? Because
it's hard.
I don't understand.
Yeah, it's difficult right now. It's difficult right now because, look, Jesus and Sterling are the bigger issue, if I'm honest, because we've got nothing from the bench. I like Kai Havertz, Martinelli, and Saka as the front three. That's fine, but for me, I would rather have a number 9. Yeah, I'd rather have a better 9. The problem I've got is when that three aren't firing, there's no one from the bench, mate. The best player we've got, real talk, is Ethan Nwaneri, and he's 17 years old. Yes. Everybody else is struggling. Trossard's struggling with form. Martinelli's falling off a cliff. You got Saka delivering, but no one else really is.
Still good players, Dan. No, there's still good players. That's why I don't understand. There's still good players.
Yeah, I think some of it's style Dore as well, if I'm honest, because I think Mikel Arteta has gone from this scintillating football where he got 15 goals in the Premier League from Saka. He got 15 from Martinelli, 15 from Ødegaard, 10 from Jesus. And then the season after that, we went a little bit rigid, no real fluidity, a little bit more compact and resolute. And we've started that way again. And I just don't quite know why he's so reluctant to go at teams. And I think if we actually went at you, we might surprise. Like if we was to go at you 10, 15 minutes, get an early goal and then get another goal, we might think, this could be 3 or 4 or 5, which without being horrible to you two, we've been used to the last few seasons with Forest, right?
Yeah, you have.
And unfortunately, we haven't had that against anybody this season so far. The only teams we've beaten by more than a few goals are Bolton and Preston in the Carabao Cup. And that has been when we've played Nwaneri, believe it or not, a little bit of free flowing. Let's go for it. Let's go at them. When we've been attacking, we've blitzed teams. Unfortunately, the only game I can say we've played half decent football against was Liverpool in the first half and PSG. That's it. The rest of the season has been a bit meh. And I do think it's a style thing. I don't think we've had the first 11 that we want. I think there's been so many injury problems. We've only actually played our back four once together. We've not played, I'll say that again. We've not played the same back four more than once the whole of this season. It's been just chop and change.
That was last season, wasn't it, Dave? That's been last season with chop and change as well.
Yeah. Well, your back four, I can name it. Well, I can't name our back four this season because sometimes it's White, sometimes it's Timber, sometimes it's Calafiori. Zinchenko's been brought in as well. We've had Timber playing centre off when Saliba got suspended. Then that put right back Partey in the middle. That means Partey's no longer in the middle, so we have to play Rice in the 6th. Then Marino gets brought in. Then it's Trossard in there. Then Havertz. Then it's Marino, and it's like, hang on a minute, I just want an 11 that can actually stay fit and play, and we can't do that at the moment. So that's what we need now. We've got players back. Is a run of games and a proper 11 that we can run with, man.
It's been a bit of a moving feast, Dan, hasn't it, really? Yeah. It's almost like the pieces of the jigsaw don't ever settle. I've got a question for you, Gaffer. I should have asked it. I wish I'd have asked it earlier. Is Nwaneri fully ready to become a centre?
And I was about, Dave, you've just read my mind. I was about to say exactly the same thing.
Because the kid looks really special to me. And I'm sure the Arsenal fans are already, in that way they did with young Jack Wilshere when he was first coming in. Ethan Nwaneri is taking that mantle on. Is he ready to assume a more senior role?
Yeah, Dave, can I say, because what you said, and it's the same with Arsenal being linked with the Real Madrid player as well. Do you think that's been disrespectful to Ethan because you've been linked with a 19-year-old person who plays for Real Madrid? Well, he's on the bench for Real Madrid. That's been disrespectful to Ethan, isn't it?
Dore, you're bang on. Probably the most frustrated I've been with Arteta is around Ethan this season, if I'm honest with you. And I'll tell you why. There's been a lot I'm not happy with Mikel Arteta. You know it on the pitch, and I've done it over the years. I've been frustrated with our lack of transfer business in the summer. I thought it was poor not to get a striker and another attacking midfielder. But I was told when Smith Rowe, Nelson, and Nwaneri and Vieira all went that we're going to get somebody in big. And then Sterling come through the door, and I just scratched my head really and thought, what the hell was that then? Where's our big player? But everybody said, must be that Ethan's ready. Must be. Like there's no other way. It must be Ethan Nwaneri's year now because Vieira and Smith Rowe have gone and he's been promoted. So I thought, well, let's see what this kid can do then because I've seen him enough and I think he's good in the youth team. Let's see what he can do. And he's been phenomenal. Every single time he's been given a cameo performance, a start. He's either scored a brace like he did against Bolton, put one top bins like he did against Preston. And people will say, well, that's Bolton and Preston. Well, Saka was playing in that game and he didn't do that. And Sterling was playing in that game and he didn't do that. Neither did Jesus, neither did Declan Rice who played, neither did Trossard who played. So really you have to look at it and go, yeah, actually he was just balling out. At 17 years old, people say he's too young. If you are good enough, you're old enough.
Yep.
And he is good enough, mate. Trust me.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying he should start every game and should play ahead of Ødegaard, by no means, but he needs to be given more minutes. And people will worry about it because what I will say is this. When Phil Foden and Cesc Fabregas came through at Arsenal, Manchester City, Cesc Fabregas was put next into Vieira, and then next to him he had Gilberto, and in front of him he had Henry and Bergkamp, and then to the side of him he had Pires and Lundberg, and behind him he had Campbell and Ashley Cole. Phil Foden was trying to get in the team ahead of KDB, Bernardo Silva, David Silva at the time. Ethan Nwaneri has got nobody in front of him. Let's just be real. He's got Martin Ødegaard, who's been out for God knows how long with his ankle tear. And then he's had Trossard playing ahead of him, right? So now we're thinking, that's a bit strange, but fair enough. He's playing Trossard, but at least he'll get some minutes. Not really got the minutes. So he must be thinking, all right, he's trying to ease me in the gaffer. No problem, man. I trust him. He knows me better than I do. And then he's looking at it and he's thinking, okay, there's definitely a problem here when I'm seeing this link with Arda Güler from Real Madrid.
Yeah, that's him, yeah.
And other players as well. He must be thinking, you're joking. Or loan me out. Because it's something. It's either one of these two things. He don't trust. I don't know how to explain this best, but if you're not going to replace Smith Rowe with Ethan Nwaneri, you needed to keep Smith Rowe. If you're not going to replace Fabio Vieira with Ethan Nwaneri, you needed to have kept Fabio Vieira. You can't get rid of both of them and then go, oh, the 17-year-old, he's still not ready either. So who are we getting then, Mikel? Because we're weaker now from last year. Now Ødegaard's out. Who do we have? Well, Trossard will have to play there. Yeah, but he's a winger. Like, what's going on here? Or a false nine? But you're asking now to play in the 10, and he's been poor there, to be fair. So I don't think he's got this one right at all. But I would say he is one of the players I would be starting at the moment. I'd play him ahead of Marino. I'd play him ahead of Trossard. I'd definitely be bringing him in on ahead of Jesus and Sterling. Mikel Arteta. Yeah, I would.
What? I still think, and Dave will know, because Sterling scores past us every single time.
Apparently so, yeah.
He does it all the time against Forest. And
Jesus has done nothing against us.
No, Sterling.
I remember Gabriel Jesus, that game we won at the City Ground 1-0. The 18% possession game where we denied you the title, Dan, and you and all the boys were up there, and we handed the title to City that, when Taiwo scored that goal after Ødegaard gave the ball away to Morgan. Morgan went on, set Taiwo up and whatever else. And I remember Gabriel Jesus in that game. I expected far more from him. He was the biggest disappointment to me that day. Not only did he do nothing in the game, he was petulant. He acted like a brat, which he'd never been at City. And he's never really done that. There's been the odd little bit ever since then, but in terms of proper, consistent input and output for Arsenal, there's been so little of it. Raheem Sterling has clearly, to me, gone over that crest, if you like. And if I'm an Arsenal fan and I'm looking, like you say, Ben, I'm looking in from the outside, give the kid a go. You gave Bukayo Saka a go when he was that age. And this kid, while Bukayo is a wonderful player and a smasher, I love the lad, I do. He's one of them players that, you can't help but warm to him as a person and as a footballer, Bukayo Saka. He works his nuts off. He almost works too hard sometimes, Bukayo, and he's protecting from himself. But this kid coming along could, in the end, turn out to be even better. And you won't know until you try him out. And,
and if he starts tomorrow, I hope Ryan Yates gives him a 2-4 after the first 6 seconds.
Well, with Ryan Yates, you get a can of Ryan Yates, and it tells you what it does on the can, and that's what you get.
That's what you get. And
if we're just changing the subject to a Forest player, Ryan Yates is. If you get, Dan said it, you need somebody in your team who's a Bastard. We had it with Roy Keane. Yeah, Dan had it with Patrick Vieira, wasn't afraid to put it about. Martin Keown wasn't afraid to put it about. Tony Adams, Steve Bold, Winterburn. These lads knew how to dig in. Kevin Richardson, people like that. These guys are crucial.
That's what Arsenal missed. I think that's what Arsenal missed, don't you, Dan? That's the one who can just kick someone's arse.
Yeah, we need that. We don't have. I mean, look, we've definitely become more physical, but You always need one of them nasty bastards in the team, and that is what everyone's had in the past. You know, Liverpool have had it before, like Mascherano. Years ago, Dennis Wise, Vinnie Jones. We've had them years and years and years.
Graham Souness, Terry Urlock.
You don't get that anymore, you know. No. You don't get that anymore, and you know, for me, Ryan Yates is good. Look, he's someone that you would look at in your 11 and go, oh yeah, probably one of the weakest, like, you know, in terms of technical ability. Yeah. But you know, you have him in your team and you do better with him because that's the sort of thing you need, you know. And you don't realise what
gets criticised. Everyone's still criticising.
I mean, if you think, like, lads, Yates, we've got a couple of, if you like, throwbacks, maybe 2 or 3 throwbacks in our team. Our centre forward is a throwback to a bygone age because that big number 9 focus up front, there's not many of them about. So that's a throwback. Yatesy is kind of a throwback. I one of my favourite players at the moment at Forest, and it's somebody that supporters of other clubs won't really have taken much notice of, but I love the guy. It's Dominguez. And Dominguez does John McGovern type things. When we had our great side that won 2 European Cups, John McGovern was
Dave, repeat that to Dan. I don't think you know what it is.
Sorry, I didn't mean that, Dan.
Yeah, you did.
Have it, hey, Potsy, you said we'd go down, mate, so Dave's giving me some luck, mate. But the thing is, like, you know, in Dominguez's case, he doesn't do anything spectacular. He's not, he's not a footballer that the Burks who play football with their thumbs are going to love. But I love what he does. He pops up, he fetches and carries. He's a good team, and he knits the team together. He does that. That's a kind of a throwback, if you like, to McGovern of that great era. Yates, if opposition supporters and like the Liverpool lot, basically everybody who supports Liverpool
and Chelsea, Dave. Chelsea as well.
They were all on the psychiatrist's couch the following Monday, and the psychiatrist saying, what issues would you like to share with us? And the Chelsea supporters and the Liverpool supporters going, I need to talk to you about Ryan Yates. He's driven me to near mental collapse. And if you've got a guy like that in your team, right, and I kind of don't see that in Arsenal at the moment, no disrespect, Dan, but if you've got a guy in your team that the others don't like playing against, you're on to something. In that game at Anfield, in that crucial period in the first half where Liverpool started really complacently, and they did, and Forest managed to stay in the game and be irritating to Liverpool. The irritator in chief was Ryan Yates, right? They're all saying he should have been sent off for this, he should have been sent off for that. Same at Stamford Bridge. And if you've got a guy in your team like that, then, you know, Nuno thinks it works. Various managers at Nottingham Forest have thought it worked. And, you know, if you like, Ryan has come up the divisions with us. He's the last remnant of the team that came up from the Championship. He must be doing something right. And this is the thing. I just think at the moment of the two teams, if you like, Forest have a more defined identity at the moment than Arsenal do. I think Forest say, right, we've got a big centre forward, we've got pacey wingers, we put balls in for him to deal with and let him feed off that. We work hard in midfield with Yates and Dominguez. We've got our creative talisman in there, and he's on song now. He's played really well for England, Morgan. The back line with Forest is like, we were utterly shit at dealing with set pieces last year. Utterly shit, right? My mum was 86 at the time it was going on, and she could have defended a free kick or a set piece better than Forest could last year. This year, that festering sore has had some balm put on it with Milenkovic and Murillo and Morato and what have you. They've addressed it. It smacks of... Nuno has addressed so many things that were not right in our club. Set piece one was one. Yeah. I think Nuno's greatest achievement to this point with Nottingham Forest is to deal with his biggest complaint last season, which was the squad is too big, it's bloated. He's compressed the numbers of personnel, but at the same time, it seems like he's expanded the options that are available to him, and that is Nuno. To me, that's Nuno's greatest achievement. So, if you like, we went on a run of three wins. Palace, Leicester, and West Ham. And we did it without James Ward-Prowse, without Morgan Gibbs-White, without Danilo, who's on his way back, bless him,
Sangare.
and without Abraham Sangare. So that tells you, well, they've got 4 missing, but nothing has changed. What I will say is that, and there was a good point raised tonight, if Arsenal have got their wits about them, it might be, if I was Arteta tonight, I'd be ringing Eddie Howe saying, is it true that by marking Chris Wood so tightly and giving him no room in the box and cutting off that supply line from Hudson-Odoi and Elanga, is that how you won the game? Because Newcastle actually schooled us, certainly second half they did. You know what I mean? So I just think at the moment, I mean, the two teams are coming in, I mean, you know, Arsenal are coming in off a not great place. You could say, well, we're coming in off just having had our backsides handed to us by Newcastle, but we're way beyond where we expected to be, and Arsenal are kind of not where they'd like to be and thought they would be. So I think the psychology tomorrow is fascinating. If Forest score early, it's going to get really interesting.
I want to see Dan's reaction when we scored it early. I love to see it, man. I love to see it. Last question for Dan. What would you prefer, Champions League or Premier League?
Champions League, mate. Never won it, and I want to shut some people up, man. Because, well, it's not even you guys. It's Man City and Chelsea fans think that they're bigger than Arsenal. I don't think they are, but they have got the European Cup to throw in our face. They haven't got as many trophies and as much history as us. I mean, to be fair, if it weren't for their money, they'd be stood down with like Portsmouth and Plymouth and all them guys, right?
Listen to me. I don't want to. Listen, if anyone wants to say go on talk, man, and tap Dan, I'm not guilty.
He's my guy. I can't do that.
That's where I'm at. But I mean, not so much Chelsea, to be fair, because Chelsea were up there competing. But when I was growing up, Man City were in Division 2. So, you know, that's the way it is. So for me, I'll always say that the Arsenal are bigger than them. But the European Cup, it just like it kills that conversation and shuts them all up. If we win that, then they can't talk to me at all. Like they can't really talk to me anyway, but they obviously try to because they've won the European Cup. But if we win it's not a European Cup, is it? The Champions League, sorry. If you win the Champions League.
I see what you're trying to throw shots at us again because it's a European Cup. Do you see that, Dave? You're trying to throw shots at us.
Well, no, I always called it the European Cup. It's not though, is it anymore? It's the Champions League. It changes all the time. But it will be called something else when they get this Super League involved, because that is going to happen, by the way, people. Eventually. But look, I would rather take the Champions League. And the thing is, Dore, like I honestly would take either. I'd love both. Everyone says to me which one. I'd love to get both of them. However, if I could only pick one, it would be the Champions League. And people might think that's crazy because like, what, 21 years of it? Yeah, but we've never won the Champions League. And it shuts everyone up when you're champions of Europe. So if we don't win the Premier League, it has to be the Champions League. If it's not going to win either of those, we have to compete to the end and not give up. But we've got to bring home an FA Cup or a League Cup or both, because that is just not a successful season otherwise. We have to win a trophy, man.
Yeah. 100%. And the thing is, Dan, tomorrow, talking about shutting people up, I'm afraid the champ will probably come out at some point.
It will, mate.
Then,
it will.
What I love, Dan, is the back and forth where we obviously send the chant to you. It then comes back. You weren't even born, and I'm going.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, actually, yeah, I was.
Well, most of the people that sing it to us are 21.
Yeah. I'm old. Just what get out there. I don't sing it. People, get your score predictions now, and that's told Dan and David as well. Make sure everyone can subscribe to Talk Man. The link is in the title as well. Before we do that, I'm asking you, Dave. At start of the season, you did say 16th, 17th.
I did.
Has it changed?
No, I said 15th, Ben. I said 15th, man.
15th. Has it changed?
Yeah, it has. Yeah. I think it'll be 11th or 12th.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
You know what, Ben? And
take that.
I've talked to Dan about this. We talked earlier about it. 11th or 12th for Nottingham Forest is a whole heap better than 17th, with the lowest points total ever to stay in the division. And thank you, Luton Town, Sheffield United and Burnley, for being so awful. So to me, 11th or 12th would be a fantastic step along the road of progress. A Brighton-esque step, an Aston Villa-esque step, a Bournemouth-esque step, a Fulham-esque step if you like.
Yeah.
So that would be brilliant. A top half finish would be beyond my wildest dreams. Europe,
you've been taught so you can rebook.
You know what, mate? I've checked my passport. Let's not get there yet. But if that were to happen, dude, I'm telling you, I'd probably be in a coma of joy. I'd be like flat out. You know what I mean? If somebody said to me, "Do you think Nottingham Forest will get back into Europe?" I said, "Only if there's a war." But the way things are going, and if you like, and Dan said it earlier about the parallels between Nuno's Wolves and Nuno's Forest. Yeah, I think Forest have a way to go yet to be as good as that Wolves team. I think we can all agree on that. But we're trending in the right direction. And I tell you what, you know, Henry Winter, the respected journalist, said this. He was asked a question about Forest in Europe, and Henry Winter said, "Forest have every right to dream about that." What I tell you what Forest have got is the ambition of the owner. He wants it. And to this point, wherever his eccentricities, Evangelos Marinakis has pretty much got the club going in the right direction. You know, I said to you, I think we might have been sat in a car going, I said, you know, Marinakis' dream scenario would be a Champions League final between Nottingham Forest and Olympiacos, would it not? I mean, it's unlikely. But the man dreams big. That's how you become a billionaire. That's how you become a shipping magnate. So with Marinakis' ambition and his desire to drive Nottingham Forest, he's looking at Tony Bloom at Brighton. He's looking at Aston Villa. He's looking at, you know, whoever else has been in Europe. I mean, Leicester were in the Champions League for a while. He'd be thinking, well, I want my club to have that. And his determination and his drive and actually his ruthlessness is a massive asset to us, and it will drive us on. He's not going to be satisfied. I mean, you think back, you know, he wasn't satisfied that we were happy with just staying up. And well, I just want to stay a Premier League team, and did do the last 2 seasons. Where he's coming from, no, I want this to be further along the road, and now we're getting further.
If you look in the last 10 years, though, look at the teams that have played European football: Burnley, West Ham, Wolves, Brighton. Man. That could be you, man. You never know. That could be you.
I want to go to Europe. You know what it is, Dan? I want to go because I've seen Forest in pre-season. We played Olympiacos. We played a few German teams, and it's good. And I want to see Forest do that. I joked to Dave, and I said to him, "If we play a team in Ibiza, what that?"
You know, Dan, let me tell you about him. Right, bless him. He's such a lovely lad. We were coming back from Anfield. I'm not being funny. At Anfield, he came out of the away end at Anfield. There's all these really fed up scousers walking around. He's dancing around like a court jester, like in the standard gate. And I'm going, Dore, calm down. We get in the car to come back, and he goes, "We're a Champions League place, right?" And I went, "I know, it's good, isn't it, Ben?" And Ben goes, "We could be playing in Europe." And I went, "I know, mate, I know." And then he goes, "Are there any teams in Ibiza?" And I'm not being funny, Dan. I was Googling, and we found out there was a team, I think they called UD Ibiza or something.
I want to go Europe. It's good to go to see Forest in Europe.
Yeah. He wants Champions League, Dan. He wants to be playing Falaraki Rovers, Ayanafa United.
Mate, go in that Conference League, man. You'll be playing them. Go to Larnaca and places like that.
That's what I want to do. I want to go to Europe and see Forest and all that. But like, jokes aside, it's a long season ahead.
It is. There's a long way to go.
I've
got you in 11th. I've got looking at my new prediction table. I've got you in 11th at the moment.
Your new prediction.
Yeah, I had you going down. Where did I'll show you where I had you first of all. 18th. Now I've got you 11th.
Exactly. You know what, Dan?
Hey, Botsy, the way you're looking, mate, that looks like you've got that right on your wall there, mate. So it's like you're looking at
Dan, I was looking at your TikTok, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Have you deleted it?
Nah, it's still there. I
couldn't find it. I've seen it. You said 17th. I'm thinking, where's the bit? It says 18th. I couldn't find it anywhere. So when I do find it, I'll put it on my vlog down.
I can see it up here, man, because I've got the big 6 plus Villa and Newcastle as the top 8, and then I don't know what order it will be, but I've got Brighton, Fulham, Forest, and Brentford between 9th and 12th, because I just think they all look great, and Bournemouth as well. To be fair to bring
and seriously, Gaffer, on a serious note, for us now to be kind of considered in that group, smacks of how far we've come. Right?
Yeah, man. Of course.
And I was listening to Nuno in his press conference today, and they said, how do you think the season's going? And Nuno said, we've managed to get the legendary pundit Dan Potts to revise his prediction. We must be doing something right. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, man.
But the thing is, mate, it's like, you move by, you go in shifts and phases. And I think, if we lose tomorrow, and that's eminently possible because Arsenal are, a strong side, even though they're going through a little bit of a spell at the moment, then it won't all be doom and gloom for Forest. I think where we are heading, Forest, we're heading, as I said to you earlier, we're heading into some informative tests. So Arsenal away tomorrow, Ipswich at home next week is not going to be easy because they'll have the free hit against us. Right, because we've worked ourselves into that.
We're seeing it, Dave. It's weird, isn't it? Seeing that, like a team saying now because we're playing good.
Exactly, Ben.
And saying, "Oh, it's a free hit." It's weird saying it. Weird.
Yeah, but Ben, that is Forest being better, and that's good.
Like, no, but do it's like because we're going to Arsenal tomorrow, and it's like all Arsenal fans are now worried we can just do something. And I'm like, 2 years ago, this wasn't us. This wasn't us.
Do you remember that 5-0 Sunday afternoon when Jesse Lingard and Lot played? And Arsenal were just so much better than us. They were 2 up at half time. Then Reece Nelson came on and scored, I think, with the first kick of the second half.
You know what? I'm not going to lie.
Partey scored.
So happy.
Dave, and I had the vegan pasty as well that day.
Dave, I'm so happy Reece Nelson is not at Arsenal no more because he used to come on every single time and score a goal. So I'm happy he's at Fulham. And that.
I like Reece, man. I like Reece.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
Massive shout out to Dom, massive Dore and Dave. Please leave us.
Hi, Dom.
Massive shout out. Make sure everyone will subscribe to Dom. Top lad, and
lad, Don,
even he was humble when we draw 1-1 at Stamford Bridge as well. So he was humble as well. So shout out to Don. Make sure everyone subscribes to the top lad. So go on, Dave.
He was another one, Don. Right, he was giving us lots of respect after that game. Fair play to Don. It's a good lad, Don.
So right, everyone, score predictions. Get in the comments now. I'll get Don and Dave now. Let me start. We'll start with you, Dave. Come on, Dave. Get your head on. Screw on.
It doesn't take me long because I had a rehearsal with my gaffer earlier, and I went 1-1, and I'm sticking with 1-1.
Okay, it's 1-1.
I think we'll get something.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we'll drop points here, man. I've gone 2-2. I'm going to remain consistent. If I see the team news and it is the way that I want it to be, I could be a little bit more confident.
That's crucial for you, Dan.
It is really, but I'm going to go 2-2, man. I just don't think we're playing well enough to win the game.
No. I'll take that. I'll take 2-2 as well. I think I'll go for. I'll say 2-2 as well.
I mean, a point for us, Ben. A point for us.
It's still great. It's still great.
It's another indicator of progress and improvement. You know what I mean? For Dan, again, looking in from the outside, as I love to do, because I'm always interested in other clubs, not just my own. And Dan said it, judges have said it, Robbie said it, all the Arsenal content creators have said it.
The only person that's so disrespectful is Mikel, the Arsenal fan. He's the one showing a little bit disrespectful.
Illegal. What's his name? Illegal.
What's his name, Dan? Mikel, that's it. Mikel. Yeah, he's the one showing a little bit disrespectful to Forest, thinking, "Oh, we're gonna fall Forest." What are you on about? Come on, just show us a little bit.
Mikel does this. He lives in everything sunshine and roses for Mikel all the time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But the thing is, Ben, the vast majority of them are paying a lot of respect to us because they've seen what we've done recently and how far we've come. But the key thing for the Arsenal supporters is 1:45 tomorrow afternoon when that team comes out. That will dictate how they then go into the stadium and approach that game. Like Dan says, if Dan sees, Arteta's 11 and he sees like the names that he likes, then he's going to go in and think, yeah, we've got a chance here. I mean, with us, I think our team, our lineup will pretty much be consistent. I think it'll be Matt Sells. I think it'll be Ola, Milenkovic, Murillo, Alex Moreno, Yates and Dominguez with Morgan, Anthony Cullen, and Woody. And Woodadinho.
Woodadinho.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he's just come. He's travelled billions of miles.
He's on
and
fire.
He scored 5 goals in 2 games, admittedly against teams no bigger than you.
Only if Arsenal had a player like him, eh? That's what.
Hey, I would take him over Havertz at the moment.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that now. Trust me.
Ben, you joke, but Dan thinks that, and a lot of the Arsenal boys that I've listened to and girls who do their content, they think that as well. It's like if Kai could stay where he was meant to be a centre forward man, be a target. But Kai Havertz isn't that. He's more complicated, if you like, than Chris Wood, and that's where Woody's easy because he's just a big centre forward who scores goals. He's in the box, job done. Kai Havertz kind of is a sort of is an amalgam of different things. If Kai Havertz just stays in the box, but like you say, if Kai Havertz might go in the box and he comes up against Milenkovic and Murillo, and then if one of them two goes off, it's like Morato, who's like a nightclub bouncer. Then Kai Havertz is going to think, "Oh, sod this for a game of soldiers. I'm going to drop 20 yards deeper and like face them rather than play with me back to them." And that, you know what? That's the thing these days. There's no great what I call bum players who play with their bum and hold up and hold a guy off. Kenny Dalglish was the greatest bum player of all time. Nobody could get the ball off Kenny because his backside was always stopping. You don't see that anymore, right? Woody has shown to me. I tell you what, it occurred to me that night against Palace, where he was dealing with Gurhi and Lacroix at the back. Woody was just like holding him off and laying the ball back, and he was using his arse and his back. And he's thinking that
Kai Havertz might have to do that tomorrow, Dave, because we got two great Arsenal centre backs as well. I think he might.
They're brilliant. Yeah. Gabriel and Saliba, superb. I mean, to be honest, to me, you could talk about. I mean, Van Dijk. I don't rate Konate. I wouldn't put Konate at the same level as Gabriel and Saliba. I mean, if you like, tomorrow, it's a meeting of 2 of the maybe 4 or 5 best defensive partnerships in the league. I mean, one who's, Gabriel and Saliba have been at the top longer. Murillo and Milenkovic are going the right way. So there's lots of fascinating things going on. I mean, Arsenal will be favourites clearly because they've got home advantage, but it's the first time I've gone to Arsenal and thought, you never know. We're in
Dave, have your confidence, man. Be confident like I am. I'll say 2-2, but it is what it is. Before we do go, this last comment from Matthew. Again, sense of deja vu. End of 2023, Arsenal needed to beat Forest or title engines done. Forest 1-1-0. Same again tomorrow. I'm saying that'd be fantastic, Matthew, if that happened. It's been a great show. Thank you for everyone. Thank you for the legend Dan Potts for coming on my channel as well. Make sure everyone goes subscribe to the Football Talk, man. It's in the title. Are you doing a late show tonight, Dan?
Yeah, I got one at 11, bro, just to do a little bit of a show about Arsenal and press conference and injury news today. So big up to you, man, both of you, legends. And I look forward to tomorrow.
Make sure everyone go. If anyone wants to watch the late show, go and watch Dan's show. Give some a little bit of grief as well.
He's like 24 TV. The man never sleeps. He's the next global.
Dan works hard, man. And Dan Park works very hard on his channel. That's why everyone should go and watch the channel. Like, you always see this guy always on there, but sometimes if you need some help, I'm there for him.
Hey, that's your fault. You couldn't do that show that night. You said, "Will you sit in for me?" Poor old Proctor.
And then look at him. He's
with this thing.
And now look, he's no getting rid of him now.
No, sorry.
I'm like the worst blister he's ever had.
Dave's a YouTube whore. That's what he is, man. He's a YouTube whore.
The thing is, I'm so cheap, though. You know what I mean?
It's shout out to Dave as well. Me and Dave will be there tomorrow. Dan will be there tomorrow. So if anyone sees any of us, make sure we get the score predictions on whatever you want to show. But make sure everyone goes to subscribe for Football Talk, man. Make sure everyone subscribes to me before you do leave. Please hit the like button as well. I'm doing the African reaction, the vlog, the usual lot. Nottingham Forest win at Arsenal for the first time at Emirates for the first time ever. Arsenal worried. Can me and Dave get the biggest smile on our face after 5 o'clock?
He's hoping.
It's been a joke. Been like, thank you everyone. Peace and love. Up the Forest.
Yeah.